Hey guys, welcome to Everyday Family Adventure. I'm Trent.
And I'm Siobhan.
And we just finished up our time at Disney, and we wanted to share a little bit of our time there.
Yeah, like a review on what is Disney like during COVID. So we just spent 2 days at Disney. It was kind of like an impromptu thing, and so we didn't have a whole lot of plans. We're here in Florida, and we wanted to go to a place that's happy and joyful.
Yeah,
and
some of our plans had changed already, and so we found ourselves with this open week where we were like, man, we have had, just like everybody in the world, a year of weirdness.
It's been rough. And even before that, we've been in Hawaii doing missions. Our kids haven't been off.
Oh, look at these kids that are being crazy. Okay, you guys
Gwen
need to go.
said a bad word.
Okay, go back in the back. All right. Obviously, that little skip there was a little part of our distraction of life because we have children.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is, again, why we wanted to talk about this and why we went to Disney. We have 5 boys that are very rambunctious boys, and we've had to be inside so much this year. We did feel this piece about, like, man, we want to reinvigorate the wonder and the joy and the happiness in them, too. And so what's the happiest place on earth?
Should be Disney.
Disney. Well,
Disney.
And so we just I think we wanted to do this video to just encourage Disney. If anybody out there works with Disney, we felt this would be a good video for you from a consumer standpoint to say we want to just give you some helpful hints of how to do Disney, how to run your company. How do I say that? In a COVID time, in a pandemic.
Yeah, why it's so important. Why it's so important
yes.
that Disney is still Disney during this time. So there's some things that are different about Disney right now. One of the things that's different is you have to wear a mask the whole time. And I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it too.
I was like, sweet. If it takes me having to wear a mask to be able to go to the happiest place on earth with my kids for just a couple days, I'm going to wear a mask.
Oh, yeah.
No big deal.
Totally.
I'm totally all about mask wearing. I think it's really important. I think it really helps. And so we had no problem with that. The other thing...
Oh, another distraction. Hang on. Oh, wow. Look at that. Oh, you guys. These are a nice little cutaways. Is that so silly? I think your balloon is losing its... I think it's losing its juice there.
Okay. So this is why it's so important that Disney remains Disney. Like, even if we have to wear a mask. Oh, the other thing that was different is there were a lot of things that were shut down. So for one, you don't get to meet characters anymore. And even then, they'll have characters come out and like into the streets in a car and like drive around. But that was very rare. We didn't see any characters until we got to Epcot. When we were at Hollywood Studios, we saw no characters except for, I think there were a couple Star Wars characters like up on a stage.
And they did the parade too. There were some characters there.
There were some parade. Yeah, there was a parade, but we didn't see it. It was kind of far away.
And we understand. We know that Disney is doing whatever they can and going above and beyond to make sure that they can do this. Given, we get it. I'm sure that kids would probably like rush to want to hug the characters, and it's probably not the best.
So that's a good thing too.
We're okay with that.
It's just different.
It's just different.
Yeah. Another thing that's different is there are things that are shut down, shows and things that are in tight enclosed places where they literally can't social distance. Everything where they can social distance, Disney's done a great job.
They really have.
So they've limited the number of people that can go in the park. You have to have a reservation on top of your ticket to get into a park. So make sure you do your reservation ahead of time because you have to reserve the park because they only have a certain amount of people that can come a day. And then when you get in, the lines are a whole lot longer than they used to be because now you're 6 feet apart. And so the lines come like out into the walking spaces, but they've done an amazing job at sectioning things off. I would say really good job. Like, I didn't feel like things were crammed or we were in danger anytime. Really safe. I thought they've done a really good job. It's just different. So once again,
yeah. And so I think another thing I want to say is the food. The food is different. I mean, you're used to going to a theme park and being able to buy food and walk with food. We can't do that this time.
Yeah.
So that brings us maybe to a little bit of our challenging, like, Disney, we want to help you with a suggestion here. Because you can't readily get stuff and you have to make a reservation, they make it really difficult for you to like go to a restaurant that's booked up in reservations and
so
look
like
for
once,
like a wait list or something.
Once the reservations for these restaurants are booked, you can't get in. There's some that have like then a wait list, but then even the wait list gets capped off.
And we know that there's cancellations along with these, but you can't like talk to a person right at the front and say, hey, is there another spot? Or,
yeah, they'll tell you
weird.
No. They're like, no,
use the app.
You gotta keep checking. And literally, I kept checking the app, and
use
nothing
the app.
changed.
And so that we get that. Okay,
that was hard. That was hard because you have to eat. Well, then we brought a lot of snacks. So instead of having meals, because there was literally nowhere to eat, we brought snacks. But when you bring snacks, you have to be stationary. You can't eat in a line. You can't eat while you're walking. In order to eat, you have to stop so that you can take off your mask and eat. But the problem is there wasn't really many places to sit or stand and eat outside.
In Epcot, they had tables with no chairs that you could go to. But at Hollywood Studios, especially in the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, nothing, like nowhere to go. And so this brings us to a place where, because we got a few employees got a little grumpy with us because we have kids. So let me just say right now, like, Disney, we want to help you encourage your employees. Like, don't get grumpy because of kids. Like, you're supposed to exist to have kids there. So if your kid ends up climbing this amazing rock wall that you built, we get that. Because it
looks like a real rock. Just like we see in the national parks. It looks like a real rock to climb.
We had an employee shout at our child and say, hey, kid, get down from there.
Get down from there.
And I'm just like, wow, that just doesn't seem like Disney. Like, no, there's a much, like, we want you to think, Disney, we want you guys to encourage your employees to be
creative in their response.
Right.
So, for instance,
cheerful.
If a child is climbing on a rock and they're not supposed to, rather than respond that way, you know, in the past, I feel like at Disney, everybody who goes there is a celebrity. So this child, this 6-year-old that's climbing the rock, coming to them and saying, wow, you're such a great rock climber. Well, we can't have you climbing on these rocks because we don't want you to get hurt, right?
Yeah.
You know, like something like that would be a little bit better of a response. But we just felt like there was such grumpiness. So even when we stopped to eat our snack, we literally sat on the ground up against a wall in the middle of the Star Wars land. And we were having crackers, and so the kids were getting crumbs everywhere, and there's 7 of us, so we were kind of spread out. And when at one point one of our kids moved away from a spot that they were eating at, and this lady came over and she just had a scowl on her face. She looked unhappy. She was sweeping. She was the sweeper lady that was sweeping. And we love that Disney keeps their grounds so clean. That is just one of our favorite things. It's always clean in Disney. But she came over and she like swept up the crumbs in front of us with a scowl on her face. And then she stood there and waited for us to leave and stop eating our snack so that she could clean up our mess. And that's just not Disney. It just is not it's not the feeling of Disney. And it just felt weird to us.
Yeah, so and we want to, again, go over and above to say, like, there's plenty of other Disney employees that were amazing to our family. Yes. But this is now the second time, and we had only been in the park for a couple hours at that point.
Yeah.
So second grumpy employee, and we started seeing this trend now, like you had said to me earlier, which is kind of what prompted this video. You were like, man, Disney, we want you to understand that the world is in a pandemic. Yeah. We're all grumpy.
We need Disney.
We're all frustrated with this year. I mean, there's nobody in this planet that is not upset with this year or their job. And there's a lot of people that don't have jobs. Like, man, we need you, Disney. We need you, Disney employee, from the very lowest place, like you used to be the happiest people in the world. And I will say, we met a few of those. Like,
there's always those gems at Disney that are like
love that.
above and beyond, and they really do make you feel like a celebrity, and
there
make
was
the
a guy
kids feel so good.
There was a guy at the ticket gate that just made Truman come alive, because he's like, I love your Padawan braid. And just like,
noticing
and
those
started
things.
talking to him about Star Wars, told us all the secrets of things, and so just really great stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
What was the other thing you suggested about the masks?
Yeah, so I was thinking for Disney in this time when it's even harder for employees who are living in this pandemic to be happy. Wouldn't it be so cool if Disney had like everybody wear the same masks that's like a Mickey face with a smile?
A smile.
A smile.
Yes.
Like just a simple smile, like always having on a smile, even when your eyes might not show it. When you look like you have a smile, it just might feel more Disney and friendly.
Yeah, Disney, like, we need you to know that we want your employees to be like happy, and those who aren't, the mask ain't covering it.
Yeah.
You can see it in their eyes.
Yeah.
And we felt like that a lot more. So there were more places. In Epcot, I felt like there were some places where it just seemed like the employees were just really upset with their lives. And so I almost want to say, like, Disney, can you do like a corporate wide like encouragement on how to be happy in a COVID time?
Yeah. How to still make it special for the families that are coming here to escape the pandemic.
Right.
That's how Disney would win me over right now, because we paid still full price. Like, the prices haven't gone down for this.
Right. I feel like Disney has done a wonderful job meeting all the CDC requirements and all the health requirements, but I feel like you forgot your customers.
Yeah.
You forgot your people that really want this place. Like, I'm walking around in Disney, especially in Epcot, because they're going through so many changes, and we kind of did some of the last rides that will exist in Epcot for a long time. And I just said to my boys, I'm like, guys, you understand this world needs Disney. It needs Disney because the world needs hope right now. And Disney does a wonderful job of sharing that. So I don't know, was there other things that you wanted to mention before we finish the video?
A couple other things that we noticed. At the end of the night, it was 7:30 and Epcot closed at 8 o'clock. Trent and I had gone for a date, and we were walking around, and we were just going to get a last minute like refreshment from the restaurants. But I don't know if this is typical or if this is just now, but we walked up to two like little stands that were outside of the countries. And the employees didn't even acknowledge that we were standing there, for one. And for two, they had already shut down all of their operations. So I guess once they decide that the night is done, even though it's not 8 o'clock, they shut down, and they don't even acknowledge that you're there.
It felt like going to your
weird.
favorite coffee shop 15 minutes before they close, and then they look at you like, oh, I can't believe I have to serve another person.
Yeah, like I'm thinking
I want to go home.
If your park closes at 8 o'clock, then the food and refreshments that are offered should shut down at 8 o'clock, and that's when they start shutting down.
Or post a sign that says
they had at 7:30 all of their drink machines that had the tea and stuff were empty. They had already cleaned it all out, shut it down. They were going to be out of there before the people were out of there. And it just felt like we were rushed out.
Like a mass exodus.
Yeah. And then the last thing that happened was probably the one that kind of set me over the edge and made me say, we really need to do a review because this is not Disney. And it was when we went to the parking lot. He and I, we had finished our date. It was 8 o'clock. We left and we went to the bus lot to get on our bus back to our resort. And we're staying at the RV park, which is called Fort Wilderness, which is amazing. All the employees here have been top notch. Like, nothing bad to say about Fort Wilderness.
And we went and stood in the Fort Wilderness line.
So, but as we were going there, we walked by this lady that said, "Where are you headed?" We said Fort Wilderness, and she said, "That's in spot 2." And we're thinking, "Oh, that's Wilderness Lodge."
Right.
And we already know
We've already had people get confused with that a few times.
Right. We thought that she had misunderstood us. So we went and stood in line 1 like we had earlier in the day to
Right.
get on Fort Wilderness and not Wilderness Lodge, because they are 2 separate parks that are miles away from each other. And or resorts, I should say, not parks. But so we went and stood in 1, and we're just having conversation. We just had an awesome date night, just talking about our time.
Yeah.
And I hear this yelling from out of.
I heard it too,
was
and I'm
kinda
like, I don't
and
know.
he's like, "What is that yelling?" I was like, "Oh, I think it's behind the wall in the parking lot."
Yeah.
Because we could hear the yelling, but we couldn't make out anything that the guy was saying. But he was yelling.
It turns out
And-
somebody from the parking lot came walking over to us and was like, "That guy's yelling at you.
Yeah.
What are you doing?"
"What are you doing? He's yelling for you. Why are you not listening to him?
Yeah.
Don't you hear him yelling at you?" And we're like, "Whoa, what?" So it was a parking lot attendant, transportation guy that came over and yelled at us that the guy in the bus 1 line over in 2 was yelling at us to get on that bus with the Wilderness Lodge group. So he's like, "Didn't you know? That's why she told you to go to 2, because they shut 1 down." And we're like, "Whoa." And he was like screaming at us. And so for one, like, the bus driver that was literally 1 lane over was yelling at us from behind his mask like this. And it was so muffled that we thought he was behind a wall. We had no idea he was yelling for us to get
Still
on
couldn't
his
hear
bus.
what he was saying.
He could have, in Disney spirit, come over and gently said, "I think you're in the wrong line. Where are you going to?"
Where are you going to? Yeah.
There was none of that. No,
Yeah.
it was.
I mean, these are things I would totally expect if we're in New York, right?
Yeah, the guy sounded like a New Yorker. That's
But
what it felt like.
this is Disney, and
Yeah.
so yeah, just
It was just really rough and
this.
mean.
We didn't,
you know.
and again, we did not want to come on here to just complain about Disney, because we had an awesome time. We really did.
did.
We choose to have an amazing time.
Yeah, we love
But
Disney.
we're also aware that, man, if this is happening to us, and we're very happy through here, the kids had a blast. They didn't
don't
think
know.
anything about
They
this.
didn't notice it.
We were like, man, Disney, like, executives or anybody who watches like customer affairs with Disney, like, I hope you see this video, and I just hope it encourages you to be like, oh wow, we have been thinking only about the health regulations in the pandemic, and we haven't thought about our customers, because people still want to come.
You haven't had those little team meetings with your cast members to say, "Hey, remember, there's people that are coming here today to get away from it all.
Right.
And they want to be happy, and they want to be joyful, and they want to be celebrities for a day."
Yes.
You know?
Anyways, we'll finish this vlog today. I hope this is encouraging to you guys. We want to be encouraging to you. We want to be encouraging to the world, because we do believe we want to make the world a better place. We want hope to thrive. So anyways, we'll let you guys go today. Remember, we can make the world better.
I believe we can.
Bye, guys.
Bye.